What if I told you that Guy's mysterious portrayal in the Final Fantasy VII Remake series is not just an expansion of Nanaki's backstory, which now needs to be resolved by the end of Part 3, but that Guy could prove to be key to Sephiroth's ultimate goals? That's the exact reason I'm making this video, to talk about things surrounding the Guy which I haven't heard people talking about. Think back to your first experience playing Final Fantasy VII. The game didn't explain everything. It trusted you with some questions that went unanswered. The Guy were part of that, mentioned briefly in Cosmo Canyon, unsettling but distant, more like an ancient myth than an active threat. And they worked precisely because they weren't over-explained. For many fans, that restraint was part of Final Fantasy VII's magic. So when Rebirth began expanding the Guy, giving them more presence, more history, more narrative weight, it raised a fair concern. Is this deepening the story, or rewriting something that never needed to be touched? That skepticism makes sense. The original Final Fantasy VII wasn't about spelling everything out. Its world felt old, layered, and broken in ways that you could feel but not always define. Expanding the Guy risks turning haunting ambiguity into explicit lore, and for longtime fans, that can feel like losing something rather than gaining it. But what if their augmented role in the remake project isn't meant to replace the original interpretation, but rather to reframe it, showing us what the 1997 game implied, but couldn't fully explore at the time? And what if the Guy's link to the darker themes of Final Fantasy VII, the incompatibility with the lifestream, the cost of immortality, and their contentious relationship with the Cetra, could serve as a roadmap for what Sephiroth's endgame truly might be? In this video, we're going to look closely at the Guy as they existed in the original Final Fantasy VII. We're going to compare that to their portrayal in Remake and Rebirth, and consider how some of these puzzle pieces might fit together in Part 3. So, if you're somebody who played Final Fantasy VII way back in 1997, and feel a little uneasy when the remake trilogy started adding things, this video is for you. You don't have to like every change, but by the end of this, you might see why the Guy were the right place for the remake project to take a risk. Let's break it down. In the original Final Fantasy VII, the Guy were presented as merely a narrative vehicle so that players could learn more about Nanaki and his backstory. They were a tribal people who attacked Cosmo Canyon and lost. They essentially served as window dressing for the reveal that Nanaki's father Seto was not a coward, as Nanaki had believed, but in fact, he was a hero who protected the inhabitants of Cosmo Canyon, and even more broadly, all of Gaia, from an assault by the Guy, even sacrificing his own life in the process. However, those small details, as well as the fact that after defeat they were unable to return to the planet due to pure anger, are the extent of what we know about the Guy. No further explanation or context is provided by the original game, leaving fans to guess or fill in the gaps with their own interpretations about this mysterious tribe and their motivations. As we turn our attention to the Final Fantasy VII Remake Project, we find there's a lot more information available about the Guy. Details which, when streamlined and analyzed, could help us to understand not only why their role is so clearly expanded, but also how it may be key to where things are headed in the final game of the remake series. After no mention of the Guy during the first entry of the remake project, everything about their portrayal during Rebirth appeared to be completely normal at first to those who played the original game. The party arrived at Cosmo Canyon, and Bugenhagen told Nanaki he must undergo a trial. And besides a few hints at a background with the Cetra, events continued to proceed as usual when a battle with Guy Nattak ensued, and afterwards when Nanaki learned about Seto's bravery. However, after Guy Nattak proved that he had absolutely no chill and completely stepped on Nanaki's moment with his father.
I am Nanaki, Watcher of Cosmo Canyon, and son of Seto, Protector of our Vale.
Hearken unto me. My name is Nattak.
Come on!
The events that followed were highly unpredictable. What followed was a new, fresh take on the Gi, which explored their nature, history, and a singular desire. Let's review the Gi as presented in Rebirth, as well as far back as the very first reveal trailer for the Remake Project, way back at E3 in 2015.
Welcome to the village of the Gi. Be quiet. The planet is listening.
And what's wrong with that?
Anything that reaches the planet's ears, in due time, reaches those of the Cetra. Unfortunately, the Cetra are not a tolerant people.
Excuse me, am I intolerant too? I'm Cetra.
You are indeed one of them, by lineage alone. You know not of their history. That has been lost to time. Consider your ignorance a blessing. The Cetra's past is fraught with horror and sorrow. My kin now dwell within these effigies. I beseech you, lend them your ears. Long has it been since they have had an audience.
The memory of the star that threatened all burns eternal in our hearts. Long ago, we looked upon a foreboding sky.
The earth shook, seas boiled, skies shattered, and time stopped.
In its wake came an age of silence.
With the passing of eons, the star we called home began to wane, until at last it was subsumed by your own. Few of my people survived the chaos and calamity. Those who did began a new life here. But to the planet, we were outsiders, not welcome. Not in life nor in death. Forever denied the planet's embrace. Our flesh is gone, yet our spirits are condemned to linger.
They're not bound to the planet, and so she rejects them.
Because you have to come from the life stream to return to it.
Those not born of the life stream can never join its flow. One cannot return to that from which one did not arise. And so our souls sought refuge here. Yet idleness brought no solace. Our days, a penance imposed by the planet for the sin of our existence. And now, our only wish is to be freed from this prison, to be granted true release.
It was our fate to be spurned by the planet forevermore. Thus did we resolve to forge our own path to salvation.
There is but one thing that can deliver unto us ultimate salvation. And that is materia.
From the planet, we claim the greatest of materia, a most sacred treasure, and imbued it with our desire for freedom.
In the purest of materia, we place our hope and faith.
After an eternity, the materia began to stir, and thus did we rejoice, knowing that salvation was within our grasp. We rejoiced, so convinced were we that our prayers for release had not been in vain. Yet the loathsome Cetra trespassed upon our lands and stole the treasure that would grant us deliverance.
We long to lay hands on the materia of peace. In the materia of peace, we shall find the end for which we have long yearned.
Our ultimate salvation is cessation. It is nothingness. Our wish is not to exist, but rather to no longer exist.
Cast out from the cycle of life and death into purgatory eternal, forsaken by the Cetra, undone by treachery. We shall not rest till the materia is ours. Salvation will be ours.
Therefore, we ask that you retrieve it, the black materia, key to our oblivion. Please. It alone can liberate us from this endless dream. The Gi cannot rest until our sacred treasure has been restored to us. Moreover, in redressing the crime of her ancestors, the Cetra may help us to let go our ancient grudge. It is said the orb lies within a place of Cetra worship. Alas, it appears we have been discovered. I trust you will return our materia to its rightful home. Only you can end our torment.
This presentation of the Gi was extremely interesting, but did leave players with some lingering questions which were not answered by the end of Rebirth. For instance, how and when did the Gi arrive on Gaia? What was the relationship like between the Gi and the Cetra before the black materia was stolen? Why did the Gi attack Cosmo Canyon? And was it actually an attack, or was their presence misunderstood? The Gi's spirits can clearly reach the surface in Rebirth. How is that even possible? Bugenhagen even acknowledges that question, but does not offer up any explanation. And why don't we see them elsewhere as the party continues their travels? And if their true goal was to attack Cosmo Canyon, why weren't their spirits doing so after Nanaki's trial ended and they could reach the surface? Hopefully we learn more about that in Part 3. Now that we've reviewed the Gi's role in the Final Fantasy VII Remake Project, let's explore how that might fit into the expanded story being told. In my Shattered Planet video, which you can check out by clicking the button on screen, I touched on the nature of the planet, the various worlds which make up the planet, and how the lifestream might connect them. Then I made the following observation about Sephiroth's ultimate plans, and a subsequent question which naturally followed. Sephiroth appears to have needed the party to help destroy the Whisper Harbinger, and break the planet's hold over Destiny so he could take control of the Whispers himself. Perhaps to unbind those who were born on Gaia from the planet and the lifestream and maybe bind them to whatever Sephiroth wants to create? But what might that actually look like? And how might the Gi factor into all of it? To attempt to understand Sephiroth's endgame, let's do the same puzzle piece, rearranging and assembly as we did with the Gi, to create a more cohesive line of thinking, and then review the information Sephiroth has already provided us across Remake and Rebirth.
The planet encompasses a multitude of worlds, ever unfolding. Some quickly perish, while others endure. Yet even the most resilient worlds are doomed to fade. Our beloved planet is dying. Slowly, silently, painfully. Should this world be unmade so too shall her children. That which binds us together would be no more, and I would be loath to live in such a world. Our world will become a part of it one day, but I will not end.
I will never be a memory.
Nor will I have you end. That which lies ahead does not yet exist. I shall remain. I, son of Genova, will at last claim my birthright. My dominion shall reach into infinity. It shall encompass worlds unbound by fate and histories unwritten. My fragmented mother, these errant worlds, all shall be one again.
The reunion.
All made whole forever.
There's no such thing as forever.
But there will be. And I know exactly how we can do that. The Promised Land. Can you bear to see the planet suffer? Cloud. Lend me your strength. Bring me the black materia, the key which grants access to the true counterpart hidden between worlds. Let us defy destiny together.
With these pieces lined up in this fashion, it's a reasonable conclusion that Sephiroth's plan appears to draw inspiration from the nature of the Gi or Genova, and find a way to unbind people from the planet and the lifestream so they cannot return to the lifestream. This way, they could live on forever, even long after the planet eventually dies, as Sephiroth presumes it will. Admittedly, this is only one possible way these puzzle pieces might fit together or plausibly explain what Sephiroth has planned in Part 3. However, obviously, our party members are not simply going to go along with such a plan. First, we know the party will be motivated by the things Aerith has said to them.
I get it. I really do. Knowing that the people we love aren't really gone, it doesn't make it any easier to let them go. It still hurts. So we can't just think of it as a homecoming, 'cause it's not that simple. We've all experienced pain. We all have our regrets. What we've done, what's been done to us, that's set in stone. The past is forever. But the future, even if it has been written, can be changed. It's true that the pain and the anger we carry can make us stronger. But at what cost? What toll does it take? I believe true strength doesn't come from any of that. True strength comes from our ability to forgive, to forge ahead in the hope of making things right. It comes from ourselves. So focus on the future, not the past. Do that, and not even Sephiroth will be able to stand in our way. Not even him.
He'd tell you that he only cares about the planet, that he'd do everything in his power to protect and preserve it. But this isn't the way it's supposed to be. There's no greater threat to the planet than him. I'm asking you to help me. I know that together we can do this. Sephiroth has to be stopped. He has to
be stopped by a Cetra. And I'm the last. He's planning to use the black materia, but I won't let that happen.
Then, we have to consider the Gi's requests and how the party might help them. Nanaki made a commitment to the Gi that he would find a way to help them.
I want to finish what my father started. I want to fulfill his promise to you.
Is that so?
And even if you don't trust me, Nattak does. He asked me to get back your materia. Like I told him, I'll do everything I can to make sure you can rest in peace. All I ask is that you wait in your cave until I return.
And if we comply, you will keep your word.
It might take some time, but I'll do it.
Very well. Finally, at long last. And thus, the promise has been made. See that it is not broken, son of Seto.
But he also made it clear he has no intention to give them the black materia, or allow it to be used to harm the planet.
Dad understood the Gi's suffering, but he also understood others would suffer if the Gi ever got the materia back. He was willing to bear that pain for them, even if it turned him to stone, if it meant that he could spare others from their wrath. We just have to find that black materia, and we have to make sure that no one gets their hands on it, not the Gi or anyone else. But I do want to keep my promise. I'm gonna find a way to release them from their suffering. There's gotta be an answer out there somewhere, and I'm not gonna stop searching until I find it.
Given that, there must be some other option which can provide the Gi with the peace they want, while also protecting the planet and everyone on it. And fans who have played the OG likely already know how that can be accomplished. We just have to put together a couple more pieces we already have in our possession. Nattak told us that they came from another star which was subsumed by Gaia. There's actually a few things to unpack there. First, the statement means the Gi existed elsewhere, away from the planet of Gaia prior to their arrival here. But how or why their home star began to wane, or how it came so close to our character's planet, is unknown. Next, the use of the word subsumed is a very interesting choice here. It's notable that the devs didn't use the word absorbed, which would be where one thing would be taken in or incorporated into another thing, implying a deeper merging where the thing being absorbed would lose its identity. But by using the word subsumed, which is more of a reclassification or a recategorization of one thing into a larger or stronger thing, the devs reinforced the concept that the Gi's identity and spirits were maintained and continued to exist within the planet of Gaia despite not being able to join the flow of the lifestream. If we add all of this up, we're left with the understanding I gave in my Shattered Planet video. The Gi are stuck in an endless and unbound form of undeath, where they are spread across and appear in the various worlds of the planet without any ability to release themselves, much like Jenova. As such, it's not an unreasonable conclusion that should the various worlds of the planet merge together, the Gi could be released from the hold the planet has on them, if they were to be relocated far enough away from the planet of Gaia. That's where the last puzzle piece comes in from the OG, Rocket Town. At this location, the characters have access to a way to reach space. So if the Gi's effigies, which we previously established they lived within, were to be loaded onto the rocket and blasted far enough away from Gaia, it stands to reason they would reach a distance where they could return to their original state prior to coming into contact with the lifestream, and they would be able to pass away naturally. This resolution would not only be a fitting way for Nanaki to fulfill his promise to the Gi.
At last, the promise has been made. Yet with each fond remembrance, we knew those encountered were not forgotten. That someday we would see them again. Perhaps it was no more than wishful thinking. But after the long calm, there are now the beginnings of a stir. The reunion at hand may bring joy, it may bring fear, but let us embrace whatever it brings. For they are coming back.
It would also give more substance to Shinra's space program and the overall main narrative, and potentially deepen Cid's role in Part 3 as well. So there you have it. We set out to compare the Gi's portrayal in the original Final Fantasy VII with the one found in Rebirth, understand why the remake project had expanded so much on the lore surrounding the Gi and incorporated them so much more in the main narrative, and consider at least one reasonable possibility for how the Gi's role in Part 3 of the remake series might be resolved. If you have appreciated this more significant presentation of the Gi, let us know in the comments. Conversely, if you still remain unconvinced this was the right way for the remake project to take a risk, or you have your own thoughts for how Nanaki could help the Gi find peace than the one that I've provided here, be sure to let us know your own ideas as well, because I definitely want to hear them. And also, please remember to like the video or subscribe to the channel, because more content is on its way to lead up to Part 3. Thanks for watching, and until next time,
Hang